Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chill, and this is episode number 120. And this week, I do welcome back my co-host, Scobie1.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing tonight?
And unfortunately, no Lunatic Oblivion this week. But nonetheless, we will dive right into what we've been playing this week and maybe what we look forward to playing this week as well. So, Scott, you actually have a longer list than I do this week. And a game that I've actually been interested to check out soon is the finals. That is on your list. How's your experience been with the game so far?
Definitely a learning curve. It definitely takes getting used to. I'm really used to like the fast pace kind of bit from Call of Duty. And at first it just felt kind of like weird, maybe a little slow in spots, but after you get used to it, it rips. It's super fun. You just kind of have that kind of adrenaline going the whole time when you're going, trying to get your cash outs, trying to do everything like that. But all in all, so fun. So far so good. It's pretty fun, and I can't wait to kind of get into it a little bit more and see what I get.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you weren't here last week, but me and Roger did talk about like how impossible the battle pass is. Like you would have to invest like 100 and 150 hours of in-game time to even complete the battle pass, and you're like, yeah, that's a bit much. Most people are
Yeah,
probably not going to be able to do it. You have to literally invest like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to be able to get that.
yeah.
Just
And
not going to happen.
I'm doing that for Baldur's Gate. I can't do it for the finals right now.
Yeah, it's impossible for sure. But yeah, glad to hear. Hopefully, one of these days I can download it. It is free to play for those of you that do not know, but definitely go check it out. Um, Obviously you've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 still. You were actually playing it right before we went live on the stream. Are you on a new playthrough? Like what's going on here?
I am on another playthrough. This is playthrough like 8 or 9 of honor mode. No cheese, no cheese, but just straight trying to get through it. But it's still super fun. Just using the builds that are in the game. And just trying to see what works better than others, and kind of what the game can be geared towards. But at the same time, like I right before the show, I'm still finding things that I'd missed in other playthroughs. So it just it just there's the gift that keeps on giving, regardless of how it makes me feel and how I hate it at certain points. Where like last night when I finally when I got wiped after about 18 hours of gameplay, and I said I'm done with this fucking game, and then I got right back into it this morning.
Yeah, that's funny. Maybe
I'm determined.
hopefully I can check this game out this year. It's just so much to play with so little time. Because right now I am currently playing through Assassin's Creed Mirage still. This is Shoot to Win's Game Club Game of the Month for January, and we're going to be talking about it on the 29th. So I'm trying to get through and beat it. I think I'm about like 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way done with the game already. You could definitely tell that this was a DLC for Valhalla, just because of the scope and the scale of the game and just kind of what happens. It's a prequel nonetheless to Valhalla, but you could tell that this was clearly DLC to start with. But overall, I think it's been a really fun, enjoyable experience. I'm not having any issues. Definitely not what Roger has been dealing with. If Paul was in the chat, I know he would agree with like the gameplay is good, the story is good, the music's good, graphically isn't really impressive. It's a pretty solid game. It's definitely a different twist on how Assassin's Creed has been the past couple of years, just because the past couple ones have been massive open world games and they can take anywhere from like 60 to 90 hours to beat, and that's a lot. That's a lot of time where this game's only going to take like maybe 15 to 20 hours to beat, so much smaller in scale. But
And
Scott,
is it still holding on to any of the open world concepts, or is it just kind of like it directs you where to go? It kind of like gives you everything you need to do and just
yeah,
puts you on that
the
path.
the open world's still there. It's basically like a. It reminds me of the first Assassin's Creed. Like it was an open-ish kind of world, and like it still has a pretty decent sized map that you can explore and get to synchronization points and whatnot, and different collectibles. And typical Assassin's Creed Ubisoft game
Nice.
for
Okay.
sure. But another game I hope to add to my list this week, though, that's coming out here in a couple of days, is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, another Ubisoft game. This is actually reviewing really well around the gaming industry. Like it's getting like eights and nines. A lot of people are like, "Man, this is an early game of the year." Obviously, there's not really been any other games really big to launch yet, so that's not really saying much given the fact that it's so early. But it is looking really good. I haven't played a Prince of Persia game probably since this PS2 that's sitting on my desk, but like when I had it as a kid. Is that a game that you would look forward to checking out, playing at all?
Yeah, I think I played back in the day. I played some Prince of Persia, and I think that if the reviews stick up and stay there, I mean, it's definitely something I could see myself picking up. One of my New Year's resolutions was try to get more games under my belt, just because week in week out, it's like I have my like three that I kind of rotate through, and I'm trying not to do that and get out there a little bit more. Got a couple downloaded, but this might end up being one of them, depending on how like the reviews go and if it's something that I feel like I want to get into.
Yeah, for sure. And another big game that's coming out this week, I don't think either one of us will be able to check out because we do not have a PS5. But if Roger was here, I know he would probably talk it up and whatnot and see if he would play it. But that is The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, something that I don't think we necessarily needed because The Last of Us 2 just came out like a couple of years ago. So
Mm,
maybe 5 years ago, maybe even at most. And it's just like, I don't think this was a necessary remaster. Like, we haven't had like a new game from Naughty Dog in such a long time.
yeah,
They
about
just
4 years
been
ago.
they've been
It'll be
making remakes and remasters, and it's just like whether it's the Uncharted series or The Last of Us, like it's time for something new, guys.
yeah. We've spoken about this a couple times where it's like I think at this point like I'm getting worried because I feel like we've peaked because like you said everything's remasters, remakes, prequels, things like that, and it's like we don't have like newish games coming out. I mean, prequels, fine, stuff like that. But the remakes, the remasters that just keep getting popped out every, 3 years, 4 years after something came out,
Right.
we need more.
Right. It's really weird because like talking about like Prince of Persia, right? We know that the Sands of Time or whatever, like the classic game from the PS2 that really put the game on the map, is being remade. But that game came out like 15, 20 years ago, so like it makes sense to remake that game. But a game that's
Yeah,
kind of came out 4 or 5 years ago doesn't need a remake. The game's
yeah,
going to hold up really well already. But
yep.
that's another day for another story for another day, nonetheless. But let's go ahead and move on to our industry news that we do got this week because we got some sad news, some interesting news. So we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm gonna kick it off here with three back to back to back. Same moral of the story here, but at three different companies. First off, Unity, which has already been in turmoil last year, as we saw, like all of the decision making they were doing. They're now laying off 25% of their employees, which equates to about 1,800 people are going to be getting laid off. And the gaming industry is just getting hit left and right, like over and over and over with layoffs. It's the biggest industry in the world that makes the most money, but yet we still can't seem to pay our developers and pay the people who actually do the work. So we have to let them go. What the fuck is going on here? So they're not the only ones. Got Amazon with Twitch. Twitch is laying off 35% of their employees, which is about 500 people. And then the Lost Boys Interactive, which is like a subsidiary of Gearbox, who made Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which was a phenomenal game, is laying off about 400 employees. So that's 2,700 people that are about to be jobless due to layoffs. Like, what is going on here, Scott?
You don't know. I mean, Amazon, you can always chalk that one up to just greed and more money and in higher pockets. But I don't know. I mean, whether was there losses, was there substantial enough losses? Like,
Yeah,
I don't think so. Not enough for a 35%, 25%, and then a 400 flat like employee layoff.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but
out
maybe
of, out of these
maybe
three
Twitch
here,
is
I
doing
feel like
stuff.
Twitch is the only one that makes sense because Twitch's
Yeah,
CEO has already said like they actually don't turn a profit like pretty
yeah,
much ever. So all
yeah,
of
and
their
they
money is through Amazon specifically and like Prime and stuff. So it's like that one would make sense, but like the other ones, I'm not cutting it.
Yeah, I'm not convinced of profits or issues with Unity. As far as Lost Boys Interactive, I mean, yeah, it's almost like you'd have to dig deeper into Lost Boys to see what might maybe they didn't have a profit, maybe they didn't have a great year, maybe they didn't have that, but at the same time, like 400 employees, like do we know what percentage that is? Is that
Mm,
10%, 20%?
right.
I mean,
Yeah, not with this one. They
yeah.
didn't give us a percentage like the other two, but yeah, sad to see. But Scott, if you want to talk about the, I guess the positive industry news that we do got this week.
Yeah, so we do have some pretty good news for those of us that like to watch some of our games. And that's so Nick Offerman, he's spoken about a potential spin-off featuring his character from The Last of Us and his partner, prequel before the events with the Cordyceps. So that'd be pretty cool. I think it'd be a kind of cool little IP that to walk off into. But speaking of some cool things that we might see, depends. God of War series has been announced at the CES, which is yeah, sorry, the Consumer Electronics Show. I'm old. It's been I haven't been here for like a year. I haven't been here in almost last
Nah,
year.
but
But yeah, but that'll be coming out from Amazon Prime Video. Um, Cautiously optimistic
yeah.
as always.
I mean,
But then
I
we
guess
do
the
have
biggest like example of how we're gonna see how Amazon handles these game turned to movie IPs is with the Fallout series that drops
yeah.
in April. If that does really well, that's only going to build a lot more hype for the God of War series.
I mean, it's all right there. Uh, I mean, it's not like they're gonna take complete structured framework of a show and fuck it up like somebody like Netflix or whatever. But speaking of, Horizon Zero Dawn was also announced coming to Netflix. So we'll see if they get the treatment there. What Netflix does with them. A lot of game shows coming out, man.
Yeah, I love it.
A lot
And
of
honestly,
a
these
lot
are
of
pretty two pretty solid ones. Like Horizon Zero Dawn was the reason why I went out and bought a PS4. I just enjoyed that whole concept of like I love post-apocalyptic worlds, and that's kind of what that is. To see a show, I'm super fucking excited to see like those robotic like dinosaurs or animals and stuff like that that you see in the game. Like seeing that in like a live action could be badass. Could
It
be
could be. It
better.
absolutely could be. So depending on the budget that they get with it, what they want to do with it, I really really hope that they take these shows and just they give us what the show is supposed to be about. If it's God of War, give us God of War. If it's Horizon Zero Dawn, give us Horizon Zero Dawn. Don't muck it up with your brilliant fucked up ideas, and your unnecessary politicization of anything. Like just give us the story that we want to watch, which is the game that we played, and
Right.
that's what we want to see.
Don't do
So
the Halo
hopefully
treatment.
don't give us the Halo shit. Don't take creative don't take creative whatever the hell it's called. Like don't do it. Just stick with the story. We saw what happened to The Witcher. Get the fuck out of here. So, but remaining hopeful, remaining
Yeah.
very very hopeful.
Yeah, for sure. You missed it last week. I actually did talk about how gave in and finally watched the Halo TV series, and it was actually like I was trying to say on the show last week was like if it wasn't titled Halo and I didn't play the game Halo and I didn't know what Halo was and I watched it just plain old like a regular sci-fi show, oh, it was a badass killer show. But because I'm a huge Halo fan, a huge Halo nerd, and I know how the story goes, it was a really terrible Halo adaptation.
Well, but listen to just what you said. All of the barriers that had to get broken for you to say it was a good show. As long as it didn't say Halo, as long as I've never played Halo, as long as they didn't try to pretend that this was Halo, as long as they didn't do any of that, this would have been a great random sci-fi show.
Yep. Yep.
Like that's yeah.
Hopefully, it
Like
seems like they're correcting their course with Halo Season 2, which does drop in about a month, which I'm excited to check out because it's supposed to be like the fall of Reach. So, like, that could be really badass. And, like, the show actually feels like at first I was like, man, they're not sticking to any of the like the script or like the games and stuff like that. But like after watching the show, I was like, yo, this is a prequel. This is a prequel to Combat Evolved.
mhm.
Like the purpose of that show is like, why are we going to that ring? Why do we seek that ring? Why are we going there? And we never understood why we were searching for the ring from the games. So we
Well,
actually
it didn't in Combat Evolved, didn't you just stumble upon the ring
more or less.
in space? Like, so it wasn't really like this is our directed mission
Yeah. Well,
to go
now it
find.
has a purpose. Now it's not like, oh, what is this thing? We just found it. Well, now it's like, where the fuck is this thing? We want to find it. Okay, we're here now. Let's because the whole idea is to prevent the Covenant from getting control of the ring. But yeah, nonetheless, that was pretty interesting and awesome to see that these shows are on the way and doing really well. And PlayStation is just booming, man. With the shows, obviously, they also just recently announced at CES that they're I don't know if it was CES, but they're partnering with Nintendo to bring that Legend of Zelda movie in the works as well. So we'll see how that plays out. Scott, that is all of our industry news, though. Let's go ahead and move on to the chunk of the episode with our gaming news. So, of course, we got to kick it off every week as we do with some Xbox news. Big one here in 4 days' time. You get to experience the 2024 version of the Developer Direct. It'll be live at 3 p.m. And 4 games that they're going to be highlighting here is Indiana Jones from Machine Games, Hellblade 2 from Ninja Theory, Avowed from Obsidian Entertainment, and Aura Untold from Oxide. So this event was the one from last year where basically everything that was showcased at the event came out later that year. And then they also had that surprise shadow drop and announcement of Hi-Fi Rush. Phenomenal game. So it's crazy to think that every game that came out or during that show came out that same year. So does that mean, are we getting Indiana Jones, Hellblade 2, Avowed, and Aura Untold this year? I would say yes. All of the facts in the fingers, the arrows are all pointing in that same direction. Indiana Jones is a surprise one though, because this game, we haven't seen anything from it. We don't even know if this game's going to be first person or third person, because Machine Games is known for making first person games, but I don't think it makes sense to make a first person Indiana Jones game. Third person would be the way to go with this.
I would also have to agree with you there. A third person Indiana Jones, because I mean the whole point of Indiana Jones and playing the game is being Indiana Jones, and like I don't think you could really pass that off on a first person sort of perspective. Like you gotta see the hat, you gotta see the whip, you gotta see the shirt, you gotta see the messenger bag. It's iconic, absolutely 100%.
Yeah, and just one interesting quick fact that the reason why we actually might see this year and sooner than expected is apparently because this game is developed by Machine Games, but they had help from 343 Industries, id Software, and I think one other studio also chipped in to help out. That's awesome to see all of the Xbox studios finally coming together and working together and helping each other out, but that would make sense why this game kind of got like fast tracked into that being released this year. Hellblade 2 only makes sense. Like we're still confused why we didn't get a release date at the Game Awards, but I think this is when they're like, hey guys, it's coming out this year at this date, this time, be prepared. Avowed is going to be the next big one as well. I think that's going to be coming out later this year. Looking forward to that one because it's part of the Pillars of Eternity universe for those who are not familiar with that. And it's kind of like their version of Skyrim, more or less. So Scott, I know you're a big fan of Skyrim, so maybe I know you're probably going to be excited for this one. And
Avowed is going to be super fun when it does finally come out. I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and Obsidian just does really well. I mean, these guys are the guys that made like Fallout New Vegas from back in the day, and then apparently they wanted to do like a spin-off for Skyrim back in the day, but Todd Howard was like, "No, we're gonna let that one go. We wanna keep that close to us." So this is gonna be their take on Skyrim, just not set in the Skyrim universe.
Ooh.
And then Aura Untold, that one's not going to be my cup of tea. This is like these are from the developer Oxide, who made like the Civilization game. So it is a strategy game. So I know Roger would be excited for this one. I don't know about you, Scott, but nonetheless,
I do like RTSs are fun. They're super fun. It's just like, when I look, it's for me RTSs. It's like they're all kind of almost the same. So it's like to find one that makes me want to be like, yes, that's the one I want to play. It takes a bit, but I mean, it could be worth getting into and looking into. I mean,
yeah. This one seemed interesting, just like the concept, because like you're basically going through history, but like in an alternative history. So it's like, what if Hitler won, or like what if different parts of history that happened differently?
You get to recreate Man in the High Castle.
Yeah. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that event. Hopefully I do get to check it out live because I am off that day. So, but that is the same day as Lauren's birthday, so we'll see how that plays out. I think she'll be at work. But
time to choose.
Live showcase birthday. Moving on though to some Xbox related games. Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 did get an announcement at CES from NVIDIA because they are bringing ray tracing to Diablo 4, but on top of that, they are bringing Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 to their subscription service known as NVIDIA GeForce Now. So that's awesome to see there. And then the other one here on the list here is Palworld. Scott, I don't know if you remember this one, but this is basically Pokemon but with
Yeah.
guns, and we were like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And like, there apparently you can like battle. You can play with up to 32 your friends. There's like survival mechanics, crafting mechanics. There's over 100 different pals that you can collect, and it's like okay, but it finally got its official release date, and it comes out in 5 days. On the 19th, it
grab
was released. But what's even
grab
better?
grab a Mac Revive, but not for me.
I'm gonna try and get the trailer up on screen for anybody that has not checked out this game yet. But this one was
Somebody
really
getting
interesting.
destroyed on speed dial.
But also, yeah, the big part that was just recently announced is that it's coming to Game Pass day one. So I was just like, let's go, man. But I'm just like, how is there not a lawsuit involved? Like, there's a lot of
I know.
these
I'm waiting
pals
for it.
that look
I'm waiting
exactly like
for
a
like
lot of these Pokemon. I'm just like,
I'm I'm waiting for like the minute that it drops, and there's like, bam, nope, fucking nope. No, this is one that I'll definitely be playing just because it's. I mean, you can't not play
it looks so dope. I'm
it.
like, and I'm just so excited that this is coming to Game Pass. Like, what are we like? There's literally fucking machine guns and like playing Pokemon at the same time. Like, what is going on here, guys?
It's a Glockachu.
Oh man, definitely looks great. Looking forward to this one here. That's why I didn't add it to upcoming game releases because this is one I wanted to highlight real quick. But that is all the Xbox related news, Scott. So if you want to take over and talk about what's going over in the PlayStation world.
Yeah, so first thing we're going to talk about for PlayStation is just going to be the services, and it looks like that's going to be the only thing we're getting out of the out of PlayStation this week is going to be the PS Plus Premium and Extra editions, plus some PS Plus Premium Classics editions. So for the Premium and Extra editions, we have Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Headspace Shipbreaker, Lego City Undercover, Just Cause 3, Sessions Skate Sim, Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun, Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, and Surviving the Aftermath. And then for the Premium Classics editions, we've got Rallycross, Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, Legend of Mana, and Secret of Mana. So for those that are unfamiliar with Legend of Mana and Secret of Mana, there's your Final Fantasy building blocks. Go play.
Go play. Yeah, these are some
Go play.
hardcore
Yeah.
classics. And when I saw this, I was like, Star Wars Episode One: The Phantom Menace. Like, I have that behind me. It's for the PS1. Like, it's a
That's
goated
why I
game.
straight up I
I
was like,
love it.
yep, you.
I love it. I actually that was one of the first games I actually remember beating as a kid growing up. Like, that was just a lot of fun for sure. I remember like the final boss against Darth Maul. Like, that motherfucker was hard as shit to beat. But
Fucking OP, dude.
yeah, man.
Fucking OP.
But
Ridiculous.
that is all of the PlayStation news. But if you wanted to continue on here with the Nintendo news, but
Yeah,
specifically
so
Pokemon.
not necessarily Nintendo, but definitely specifically Pokemon. So the Pokemon TV app will be discontinued in March. So it's basically they have a site out where you can try to see where you can check out any other Pokemon animation where they have a list on that site. But looks like March is gonna be it. So March 28th is gonna be the day.
Yeah, sad to see that this finally closed down. You're no longer able to download it, but if you already have it, it's available until March 28th. But they did list a list of other places that you can stream the stuff. I didn't really use the Pokemon app that much. I think I watched most of the Pokemon stuff on like Netflix, like all the OG stuff. I think it was so.
Yeah, it was one of those things I never really used, never really bothered to use. But it's like, oh man, it's going away. Like, dang it.
Yeah,
Oh well, I'll survive. I have the internet. We could find it somewhere else.
right. I'm sure it's on there somewhere.
I'm sure. I'm sure the entire Indigo League is sitting somewhere on a 560 megabit zip file.
It's probably on like some floppy disk.
It's around.
Oh man.
But moving on from that, so we do have some other news coming out of CES. MSI announced their handheld. Everyone's getting in the handheld business now, but MSI announced their handheld, the Claw. So just some of the specs that we've got here. So it's going to be a 7-inch LCD display, 53 watt hours battery, so about 2 hours for full gaming. It's going to have Intel's new Meteor Lake Ultra processor and can be spec'd into Intel Core's Ultra 155H. So some pretty cool news there if you're one of those tweakers. And then it's going to have three models ranging from $699 to $799. So the base tier is going to be the Core Ultra 5. It's going to be 512 gigabytes of storage on there. And we do have that article up here, courtesy of Vic. So it looks pretty good. Looks looks like a handheld.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean
not
they
I'm not big in the handheld in the handheld game arena, but
yeah, it's definitely a
I don't know if I can buy one.
the claw twister.
The
Shout out to,
cloud.
no, it looks pretty cool. I mean, it just looks like your traditional handheld that we've been getting, like Rogue Ally, Steam Deck, stuff like that. Like shout out to the Switch for basically setting a trend on what the shits are going to look like, and then they just like took it. They're like, the Switch is made out of really cheap plastic and it breaks and it has a really bad stick drift. We're gonna make something that looks a little bit more premium.
And then shout out to the Steam Deck for realizing that we could do it on fucking PC games.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely dope that they're basically just giving us a mobile PC, just a lot better than a laptop because laptops are big and clunky. Where this is just you throw this in like a little bag,
Yeah.
and it's really awesome. It's always tough with these handhelds right now because they're only getting like 2-3 hours of playtime. But I don't really play a game that long at one sitting, so it's like I don't. It's not really going to affect me. But like the time that I would need this is like if I was on a flight or if I was actually traveling in an 8 hour flight. I'm only going to be able to play this like a fourth or a quarter of my time.
Yeah, but if you're on an 8 hour flight, 9 times out of 10, that plane's got outlets, so you
Yeah, you
should
can
be
just plug
fine.
it up. Yeah,
I think it's like you said, it's still pretty like we're still getting not that many hours of playtime, but I think for the quality of what we're getting, like yeah, the Switch is great, lasts a while, but it's also not as powerful as a lot of what these other people are putting out now.
yeah,
And it takes some hardware to run some of the games that some of these handhelds are saying that they can run. The cloud. But yeah. Now I'm never gonna not say the claw when I think about MSI's handheld. Their
yeah.
new handheld, the
Cla-
cloud, has been announced. But yeah, no. So I think for what we're getting, 2 hours is fine. 3 hours is fine, especially if it's something that has to render a lot, has to use a lot of hardware and power. I think that's a pretty solid deal for right now. Not to mention, I mean, the availability of power everywhere.
yeah,
I mean, is fine. Even if you're traveling, I mean, how many cars only have one charging port now? I mean, if you're on a plane, you got outlets.
yeah, yeah. Definitely no issues there. Let's talk about an issue though that is at hand here is with the upcoming game that comes out either later this month or I think next month. I forget when the official release date is for this one, but Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League is in its preview stage, and they're not so optimistic right now. People are like they left themselves playing this game like what the fuck is going on? Like the story has some bits that are really good, but it's like once you beat the main part of the story, it's like the games as a service part is like very underwhelming and not a lot of fun to deal with. But Rocksteady, the developer behind it, did comment saying they don't really believe that this is a games as a service due to all of the content being free. But it's like that doesn't change the fact that it's not a games as a service. Like you have to constantly put out games or content for the game like it's a service because you have to keep servicing the game. It's not like their old games like they didn't continue to put out content for the Arkham trilogy. Like I think they're missing the idea here. So
Yeah, I think they kind of missed the mark on that claim, but
yeah.
it is what it is. We don't have hopes for. I wouldn't even say high hopes. We just don't have hopes for Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway,
I don't think
so
anybody does at this point. This is going to a game that's going to have like a lot of issues. It's going to be worse than Marvel Avengers. Like there's a lot going wrong for this game already. At least going into the Avengers. I'm muted. At least going into the Avengers, like there was a lot of hope and excitement behind it. Where this one's like, this game has not been exciting ever. Period. ever since it was announced, other than it was like, oh man, this is different. Like, kill the Justice League. You're playing as the bad guys, and we're like, oh, this is like a massive open world game. Everybody has a gun, even though they shouldn't have guns. Oh, it's a games as a service. Like, it just progressively got worse the more that they showed to us.
I, for one, love that they are backing up the 2A'ers out there where everyone's got a gun. That's good for them. They can defend themselves. This is gonna go down as one of the. I'm waiting for this to come out and just be an absolute smash hit, just because everybody has just written this game off. I'm waiting for like 2 years from now. There's gonna be a documentary about about Suicide Squad, and it's gonna have some like random pun title about like putting off like or just having all these massive fuck ups, and then it'll be like Suicide Squad, kill the haters, or like some random
Yeah.
shit. And then it just turns out to be one of the greatest games of all time. I mean, very, very slim. Never zero, but very, very slim chance.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm just
Not seeing it. Not seeing it.
the only outcome.
Just
The
not.
only outcome. If it's anything less than just an absolute bombshell of a game, like everything was for nothing.
Yeah. This is a game that I'm definitely not picking up until it's like on super sale. Or if it comes to
So
Game Pass later on.
that's when they put out that free content.
I mean, look what happened to Gotham Knights. Like, I refused to buy Gotham Knights, and it was like, hey, it's on Game Pass. And I was like, cool, I'm going to play it now. Like, I was not going to buy it. But let's talk about a game that you didn't have to buy. It's free to play, and we were just talking about a little bit ago, was the finals. There was an article that Lunatic actually dropped into our Discord server, and it was in regards to the game being like, this game is too much for the average Call of Duty player, and what he meant was like, Call of Duty is so fast paced, like to try and slow down and like do the different mechanics in this game is it was hard to switch up on. And this is coming from like big time like FPS like esports players, and they were like, this was quite the adjustment. This
It was.
this
It,
this
it,
is
it
this is
was.
tough. And there's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
more
yeah.
mechanics to it too, like having to collect and deposit and work as a team, being only 3v3v3 or whatever it is. Like, it was a completely different style game.
But you got small, medium, and light builds, which come with their own loadouts,
Hmm.
their own kind of roles to play in the game. Yeah, it absolutely was an adjustment, like for sure. After you get the hang of it, yeah, you're fine. My adjustment period, I think, was maybe like 3 games,
Okay.
and then you started kind of rocking and rolling. Because it gives you that feeling once again that every game gives you is like, why am I so fucking slow when everyone else is so fucking fast,
Right.
even though we're all running the same characters.
Hmm.
But yeah, as far as for your average Call of Duty brain, run, point, shoot, maybe if that's the only thing they've known. But I wouldn't say it's too much. It's just to step back, and it is much slower to step back, slow it down. Yeah, that was an adjustment.
Yeah. And then other thing that was revealed to us via Digital Foundry, as I got their video playing up here on screen, is that this game run. We're talking about console version here for the sake is that it runs way better on the Xbox again, per usual. Like, it runs at like basically a smooth 60 FPS while on the Xbox, but then like soon as you hop on the PS5, like there's constant dips down to like 50, which in a shooter that matters. Like,
Yeah.
losing a frame in a shooter matters.
Oh yeah.
So like that's just bad, man. Like, it's just like I keep seeing like game after game after game just showcasing how far and like problematic the PS5 is. And then it makes sense like why they're trying to push out this PS5 Pro, because they
At
need
this
it.
at this point, like I'm just I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. It's like Microsoft is paying these games to fuck it up on PlayStation. They're Microsoft is paying them to fuck these games up on PlayStation so they can, like, once PlayStation finally shits the bed, they can buy it up, and then there'll be no more Xbox. It'll be like just Microsoft Gaming. That's it.
It'll be
100%.
Microsoft Gaming, and then you can buy an Xbox or a PlayStation,
Yeah.
but it's still owned by Microsoft.
Are you Microsoft Green or Microsoft Blue? I'll never be one of those Microsoft Blue boys.
Yeah, that's fucking
I was
hilarious.
gonna like ironically say other words, but like, Twitch doesn't pick up on irony.
All right. So, Scott, there was actually a surprise announcement this week, and Smite 2, I'm not sure if you were a Smite player, if you're into MOBAs or not, but Smite 2 was revealed, and it's going to run alongside the first game. So, like, the first game is going to still be there and still be playable, But they also have the new one, and it's being made. It's made in the Unreal Engine 5. Basically an overhaul of everything. It kind of reminds me of like what happened with like Overwatch, except that they like would have kept Overwatch 1 still playable and not just overwritten the files with Overwatch 2.
And they didn't fucking lie to everybody.
Yeah, so it's like maybe it's good on their part, but it's like you're almost like splitting the player base. Like you're gonna have those that stay on Smite 1, but then you're gonna have those players that play on Smite 2, and like you're like really fracturing the community. That's my take on it. I'm not really big into the Smite game. I've never played it. Not big into MOBAs, but what's your take on this?
So I do play MOBAs, but I haven't gotten into Smite. Uh, as far as whether this will kind of, make it fracture the Smite community, I'm not 100% certain. It really depends on what they're going to be giving players with Smite 2. I mean, if it's just, a new engine and a couple of new heroes and stuff like that, meh. Maybe they're trying to also see, if they're gonna do a slow burn where they have Smite 1 and Smite 2, and then hey, Smite 2 is doing really well. We're gonna start phasing out Smite 1.
Kind of like how
Not
Warzone did it with
like
Warzone 1 and 2. They like
yeah,
slowly phased out Warzone
yeah.
1.
They slowly kind of phase it out. And then they're still gonna be bringing everything that people loved from Smite over to Smite 2. Maybe listen to their community, find out what people don't like, get rid of that, and maybe just kind of have maybe like a Smite 1.5. I think having Smite 2 there is nice to give people an option to try something new if they would like to, and then keeping Smite 1 there
Yeah.
for the people that just want to play Smite.
In looking into it here, this is actually quite a big upgrade. Like Smite 1 runs on the Unreal Engine 3, and then
Yeah.
the Smite 2 is going to be on Unreal Engine 5. So it's going to skip like a whole engine generation, which is pretty massive.
Oh yeah.
And we all know the success from and how crazy Unreal Engine 5 looks. So that's awesome to see though for that community, and hopefully this can actually rival League of Legends a little bit more, but probably not.
Most likely not. League of Legends, its roots are so deep.
It's in its league of its own.
It's in a league of legends. We'll be here all night.
Yeah. All right, Scott. If you want to end out our gaming news section here with the little bit of quick updates we got.
Yeah, so lots of fun stacks we got for our quick updates. So Hogwarts Legacy has sold 22 million copies. Huge. Still got fucking snuffed for any game awards, but we all know why that was. Steam broke its concurrent user record last weekend by having 33.7 million users logged in at the same time. I know I was one of them.
I know I was one of them, but
PlayStation.
I didn't play a game.
Hey, doesn't matter. You logged in.
Yeah, I'm
You
always
count.
logged in and never logs out.
We count that. It auto logs. We count that. PlayStation had a record high of 123 million active users in December of 2023. So despite everything that we are always shitting on them for, they still had their record high in December of 2023, last month. So it seems like we don't have a lot of PlayStation players here, or
Hmm.
they just mute us when
Yeah.
we get to that section. After that, so they're getting the Xbox timed exclusive Immortality this year. Sorry,
Hmm.
it says January 23, and I
Yeah.
was like, that's a typo. January 23rd of 2024 is when they're going to be getting it. And then moving on from that, we got Fortnite. Console users spent 1.6 billion hours playing the game in December, which is better than Call of Duty, EA Sports FC 24, Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, and Roblox combined.
That really just
It's insane.
it makes me like my head explode because like I
It's
know how
insane.
many people play Call of Duty, I know how many people play GTA, and I know how many people play fucking Roblox, and there were still more people playing more hours of Fortnite.
Well, that's because all the middle schoolers had Christmas break, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
So
also we
they
think
were
about
gonna.
all the new content they just released, like Lego
Yeah.
Fortnite, the racing
Oh
Fortnite,
yeah. Yeah. I
the
know.
Fortnite. Oh, by the way, I did download Fortnite on my Switch the other day when I was playing at work, and I played the racing Fortnite. That was fucking badass.
It's probably dope, isn't it?
And then I'm playing fucking Guitar Hero in Fortnite, bro. That shit is fire. And like you could choose like which instrument you're playing, and like you're really just pressing buttons in Q, but they're going to be adding the support for the instruments like later on. And I was like, you know, this is fucking dope. This is fucking. I miss Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and now we find our alternative. It's called Fortnite Festival.
I honestly, I kind of love this for Fortnite verse. This is gonna be great for them.
And it's so crazy,
And
right? So like while you're playing and like say it's not your turn to play the instrument or whatever, because like the bass isn't in this part of the song or in between songs, like you get to see all of the characters in the band that are playing. And it's like you and like three other random players, and like you're in your character, so you can be in like fucking Peter Griffin, Master Chief, Superman, and John Wick all up on stage, and then like you could start emoting while you're up on stage while you're playing the instrument. I'm like, yo, dude, this game is just like what is going on here?
oh my god, it's just one giant just meme generator. I love
That's
it.
it's
I
yeah,
love it.
that's an understatement for
It's
sure.
outstanding. Good
Well,
for them.
Fortnite, Fortnite. It's just Fortnite. Who would have thought that Fortnite would have became what it really has become? That's the
I
crazy
not
part.
me, not me. I played it when it first came out and all that good stuff. Had my fun. And
But did you
then
play Fortnite when it
yeah,
first came out? When it wasn't even a battle royale? When it was literally just surviving zombies and building like
no, it was a
bases
BR. It
and
was a BR
stuff?
when I first played.
Yeah,
It was a BR when I first played. I still didn't build when they took away the build mode for a little bit.
yeah,
Then I hopped back in a little bit, but that was
yeah.
that. That
Zero
was it.
build. They still have it because a lot of people
Like
still play that and they prefer that because the build mode, yeah, it's too sweaty. Like you shoot them, you shoot one bullet and they build a whole castle around you. You're like, yeah, I'm good.
I
Not gonna
did see
happen.
this video the other day where these guys went and they downed this guy and they built up above the spawn point and they built where people spawn and they just put a little room around it. And so like they killed the guy, his partner came back, spawned him, they killed his partner, and then he spawned into that room and he couldn't go anywhere. And then it just shot him. I'm like, yeah, see, that's why I don't play that game. That's why I don't do that shit.
Fucking Fortnite. Oh man, that's great. Yeah, man. But that is all of our gaming news, and that's all the content we do have for you guys this week. So we do want to shout out everyone who did come through and check us out live today here on Twitch, and anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But Scott, where can the community find you at?
As always, if you want to get a hold of me and hang out, play some games on Discord or Battle.net, my Discord name is Scoby1. My Battle.net is Scoby1 with the numbers 11780 after there. And if you just want to get a hold of me, chat some video games or kind of see what I'm up to with my life, have a huge 2024 ahead of me. And if you want to be there, getting a front row seat of that, you can follow me on Instagram at Scoby1.
Big is not the. I don't think I can
It's an understatement. It's an understatement.
measure
It's an
the time kind of
understatement.
year
A
that you're
huge
about to have.
2024.
But yeah, that's awesome to hear. Everyone, you can check me out at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin _ Threads is also at Mr. Never Chillin. I'm starting to engage a little bit more on there. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. If you want to game, party up, hit me up there. Facebook is Vic Rubacher for any question, concerns, or if you want to come on the show, slide into DMs there. And I do stream over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin, where I'm currently playing Assassin's Creed Mirage, but I still have Sea of Thieves and Starfield on the back burner, and probably Prince of Persia here in a couple of days when that does drop. So come through, check me out, drop a follow, even subscribe if you want to show some support there, and also subscribe to our channel here as well. But we do want to thank everyone again, and until next week, have a good night, guys. Peace.
Later.
Press Start Podcast.